Namaste, Adab, Sat Sri Akal, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Myself, Pallavi Shukla from Terry, welcome you all in UNESCO NDL India International Workshop on Knowledge Engineering for Digital Library Design from 25th to 27th of October, New Delhi, India. Before we start, I would like to request all of you to kindly switch off your mobile phone or keep it on vibration mode. With much honor, I would like to request our chief guest, Shri Keval Kumar Sharma, Secretary, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. Guest of honor, Shri R. Subramaniam, IAS, Additional Secretary, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India. Mr. Shigeru Ayogi, Director and UNESCO Representative to Bhutan, India, Maldives, and Sri Lanka. Dr. Indrajit Banerjee, Director, Knowledge Societies Division, Communication and Information Sector, UNESCO. Ms. Jill Cousins, Program Co-Chair and Executive Director, Europeana Foundation, the Netherlands. Professor Partha Pratim Chakraborty, Principal Investigator, National Digital Library and Director, IIT Kharagpur. Professor Partha Pratim Das, General Co-Chair and Joint Principal Investigator, NDL, to kindly come up on stage.
Sorry, we should have come from there.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to request Professor Partha Pratim Chakraborty to facilitate Shri Keval Kumar Sharma. To Shri R. Subramaniam. Thank you, sir. I would request Professor Partha Pratim Das to facilitate Mr. Shigeru Ayogi. To Indrajit Banerjee. To Ms. Jill Cousins. Now I would like to request Mr. Shigeru Ayogi to facilitate Professor Partha Pratim Chakraborty. Thank you, dignitaries. Now I would like to begin this inaugural ceremony by inviting Professor Partha Pratim Chakraborty, Principal Investigator, NDLI, and Director, IIT Kharagpur, to deliver address. Over to you, sir.
Sri Keval Kumar Sharma, Secretary Higher Education and Chief Guest for this function, dignitaries on the dais, other dignitaries on the stage, our collaborators, partners, UNESCO, and all the highly qualified experts who have come here today to participate in these deliberations, to share their knowledge, including those who have already helped us to reach this point in our journey, as well as those with whom we have already made some contacts to take this forward. I still remember 2.5 years ago when, with great trepidation, we started this National Digital Library of India with the hope of bringing 5 lakh books and 100 users 100 contributing organizations, and about 10,000 users on board in about 3 years. 2.5 years down the line, I would like to share with you a small video which will give you an idea of where we are now.
One of the world's oldest civilizations is about to become its youngest. In order to reap the dividend of this demographic advantage, education is the key challenge. The National Digital Library of India is a national mission project from the NHRD focused to use technology-enabled learning to create a knowledge base for all citizens of India.
If all of the citizens of India who need to be educated, then it is almost every month India needs to set up 6 universities and about 250 colleges.
The National Digital Library of India is a vehicle that utilizes digital technologies and attempts to connect the best of resources to all citizens of the country.
It will connect the students, scholars, researchers at all levels, along with teachers as well as administrators.
It will use a major technique of library science called metadata. Every content will have a set of fields which will describe what that content is. That will be maintained in a single database in National Digital Library of India. And whenever the user comes to the portal and would like to look for something, that database will be looked for.
This library will have 2 main pillars. The first will be a repository of content acquired and collated from different digital sources available in the country for learners of all age through a single window.
The second is a movement which tries to ensure that all the small digital libraries developed in all academic research and other institutions get connected.
2 words that define National Digital Library of India are inclusive and open. This repository welcomes all contributors and all organizations at all user levels. It addresses India's diversity through its multilingual interface, which gives the user access to resources in several Indian languages.
I think NDL is a wonderful platform for research scholars like us. It's like an online asset, educational asset, providing access to certain rare collections of journals and books, providing impetus to research and innovations. I think it's going to be helpful for the entire country as well.
The data will be open. The whole software infrastructure, the way the library is organized will be open. All technologies will be open.
It will bridge the digital divide of both rural and urban India, because we are going to have this platform not only on computers but also on mobile phones.
In the same stage of our library, we are going to access multiple ranges of sources, which is especially important for lawyers because we have to refer to a lot of resources for the various activities like multiple competitions, preparation of our projects, etc. So I think this is definitely a collaboration.
National Digital Library of India is centerpiece for the digital movement to academically connect the country. Visit ndl.ins
Throughout this journey of 2.5 years, the movement has shaken us because the world has changed. And as we have tried to move along, we have found that doing this in India requires us to do certain things which possibly are not required in many parts of the world. And if we can do it in India, we will be able to do it in many places in the rest of the world. The digital transformation is so fast that even the target of 5 lakhs, which were made into 1.26 crores, with students from 9,000 colleges joining us, is not enough. We are grateful to the enormous support that we have received from everyone, including many of you, both on the dais and on stage. Other than supporting this project, the Government of India through MHRD has taken some very, very bold steps, getting permanent national licenses for things for the future of the country. And this sort of national licenses will be a transformative feature for providing us with content for the rest of the lives of our students. At this point in time, this workshop is very timely because I am happy to state, in presence of Secretary and Additional Secretary and other members of MHRD, that the National Digital Library Project Phase 2 has been approved with a budget of 50 crores for the next 2.5 years. And it puts in a great challenge because the objectives are so enormous. And it is to meet that objective of personalized communication, to make a personalized library scalable for every student in India. This challenge in multiple languages, so that a person knowing only Telugu will be able to read Gitanjali, and a person knowing Bengali will be able to read the Thikural. How are we going to use AI machine learning to touch lives of our people and transform education? Every time we embark on such a project, I am really happy when we started NDL, people said it could not be done, it's too tough. And all of us, when we saw the objectives of the planned project of Phase 2, we all thought it was too tough. And I was very happy when we said it was too tough. But I got really scared yesterday when Mr. Subramaniam told me, oh, you can do double of what you all have thought. That is what scared us. The expectations have risen. And in order to meet those expectations, we need help. This workshop is extremely timely because this is where we need help from all of you. We need the help of the best international people, the best people in this country, and we are very happy that we have got almost a group together here, which would be very hard to get anywhere else in the world. I would therefore like to welcome you all to this inaugural session. I would like to thank MHRD for the enormous support that they have given us. We are part of MHRD, so thanking part of your whole, I don't know what it means, but still, sometimes you do that. And I would like to thank UNESCO for being an unstinted, strong partner. All the others who are here, our partners and everybody else. Unfortunately, the Honorable Minister had a personal bereavement, and he was very keen to join this. He is very keen on this mission. And there are several other submissions as part of what we wish to achieve here. I again look forward to the deliberations of this initiative. As I told you, though I am a computer scientist, a person who is supposed to know AI, machine learning, I still look forward to how we will really expand our reach and touch those people in India who really need this transformative platform. Thank you again. Welcome.
Thank you, sir, for giving us an overview about National Digital Library Mission. I would now like to call upon Ms. Jill Cousins, Program Chair and Executive Director, Europeana Foundation, the Netherlands, for workshop program overview.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, gentlemen, ladies in the audience, and the rest of the gentlemen. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce everybody's names. I am really, really happy to be here. It's been a pleasure and a privilege to be on the programme committee. I have to say that I'm feeling very guilty about my own contribution to that. I think most of the work was done by the NDL staff and not by others on the committee, certainly not myself. The National Digital Library is ultimately about educating others, but this workshop is the most fantastic opportunity to learn from each other. Libraries as physical spaces, from Rasa to the National Library in Kolkata to the Sarasvati National Library in Tamil Nadu, have contributed to human knowledge and access to learning for centuries. The digital world can open up whole new opportunities for the library to have another platform on which to continue the library as the promoter of knowledge, listening and democracy, giving us the ability to be equal in society, to be inclusive and open. But we also need the community to make this happen. And this is where everyone here comes in, including the policymakers and the funders. Without the money, as we've heard, we can't do any of this. However, the community is also our users. And I think we need to make sure that these three platforms work together, the physical, the online and the community. The physical is the digitising of the books, the continuing to provide the cataloguing, the labelling, the information management for discovery, as well as providing a safe place, a safe environment. The online, which is adding a new dimension to our learning, but also, more importantly, seriously increasing access. And the community, where users or civil society are also the contributors and the stakeholders in this success. A library has to solve their problems, but they can also help us solve our problems as digital libraries. So in this programme so far, we have heard, we've already had some great examples of how other platforms are solving the problems and the challenges that exist elsewhere in the world. And we're going to hear more about the challenges and the solutions, from systems to data to language and schemas, and of course about the users and how we make all of this come together. And I think the way the programme committee has put this together has really allows us to see all these different elements and how we how we're going to end up actually enjoying this as a programme going forward. The aim of this workshop is, of course, to exchange knowledge on the how and the what, very much in order to deliver the why, which is the creating access to ubiquitous knowledge. So I hope you enjoy the programme that's been put together, and I hope, like me, you will learn an awful lot from it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now I would like to request Dr. Indrajit Banerjee, Director, Knowledge Society's Division, Communication and Information Sector, UNESCO, to kindly deliver the address.
Honorable Mr. Keval Sharma, Secretary Ministry of Education, distinguished dignitaries on the podium, let me begin by saying I will not speak for 3 minutes only, because it's impossible to speak for 3 minutes and make any sense of it. So I will need extended time, and none of the people who preceded me spoke for 3 minutes. The great Secretary General of the United Nations, Dag Hammarskjöld, once famously said that the United Nations was not created to take you to heaven, but to prevent you from going to hell. And I think that digital technologies are very similar in that sense, because we see on one hand the tremendous potential of digital technologies, opening out new avenues, access to education, access to information, knowledge, and on the other hand, we're talking about cyberbullying, hate speech, breach of privacy, dark net, and all the rest. But as long as they're human beings, the internet is peopled by human beings. So let's not be under any illusion that the internet will save our souls. Let's be honest about that. Now, let me first congratulate the Ministry of HRD and UNESCO and all the other partners for this remarkable initiative, which is totally in line with what we do at UNESCO, even in Paris. For those of you who are not aware, UNESCO is the lead UN agency in terms of information and communication technologies in education. Just last month, I had the privilege of organizing the second World Open Education Resources Congress in Slovenia. And we came out with a declaration and an action plan. We are also lead agency for open access to scientific information. And perhaps most relevant to this event is our emphasis on preservation of documentary heritage. Now, UNESCO has a program called Memory of the World. Please go and check it out on the internet. It's an absolutely amazing program, which for the last 25 years now, long before anybody else moved into this domain, has a program which enlists the most precious documents of the world. So after 25 years, we have barely 350 documents on the list, but the most priceless documents from around the world. The idea was that let's, on the one hand, promote greater awareness in terms of the importance of documentary heritage, but at the same time, like the World Heritage Sites, let's have a list of documents where people from around the world, countries, would like to enlist their documents. If you go on our website and check the Memory of the World list, you will be astounded to see documents which you never thought even existed. So this is our approach to digital preservation: advocacy one side, policy making on the other, highlighting importance of documentary heritage, and listing the most prestigious, precious documents that we have around the world. So the National Digital Library Initiative of India is right down our path and our alley. We firmly believe in it. We're totally committed to it. And we will provide all the support we can from our side to Ministry of HRD. You can count on us for that, because this is part of our core mandate. And I am absolutely delighted and honored to be here, to come from Paris to participate in this excellent workshop. I wish you all the success, and I thank all the organizers for such an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I will call upon Mr. Shigeru Ayogi, Director and UNESCO Representative to Bhutan, India, Maldives, and Sri Lanka, to deliver address.
Mr. Sharma, the Secretary of Higher Education, and the dignitaries on the dais, and most importantly, the participants from India and other countries. I understand that we have around 13 countries. I understand that expert professionals came from Australia, Bangladesh, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, and Germany, New Zealand, Netherlands, UK, USA, and South Africa, if I'm correct. But in any case, this is a really good occasion for us means UNESCO and the Ministry of Human Resource Development, especially the IIT Kagpur, the National Digital Library. As the professor said, this is a very timely occasion, the gathering, not only in terms of the second phase are admitted and then approved, but also this week is International Open Access Week. And during this week, we will celebrate 2 World Days. One is for the development information initiated by UN, and also the audiovisual heritage initiated by UNESCO. That will be on the 27th, the day after tomorrow. As we all know, the role of the digital library is becoming bigger and bigger and bigger in many senses. Number one, it's the great contribution to the achievement of SDGs. SDG goal number 1 on poverty, SDG goal number 2 on end hunger and food security. Of course, SDG number 4 on education, and SDG number 5 on gender, 10 on inequality, and most the relevant issue is the access to open information, which is described in the SDG 1610. Information is a very, very basic tool and weapon for us to survive, as well as the reduced inequality at the policy level, and the role of digital library to contribute to the achievement of many of the SDGs is quite critical. General public should understand what is SDGs and what are their challenges and what the issues of the different world. For the policymakers, decision makers, it will give a lot of the information on the more relevant and proper policy making. Number 2, why it is very relevant and timely, is that the education paradigm shift is going on. The conventional education provision way is already gone almost, and we are now facing the very big challenges in advancing education. We are now, UNESCO is trying to use the word of learning instead of education. That means we have to look at the demand side, not just only look at the supplier side. And as a digital library, is quite the relevant and really the strong the facility for the demand, the users on the ground. So I really congratulate the National Digital Library in India. In the first phase, they put more than 12 million contents in the more than 100 languages. And you have a lot of the viewers and users. And if we look at the world, of course, India is the democratic country, and it has the world young populations. And it has a huge diversity in many senses: language, culture, religion, and accessibility, the geographical circumstances. So if the professor said India is successful, that could be applied to the other part of the world. But I understand that the National Library needs more help, a lot of support, and then we have to learn the success stories and good practices in the other part of the world. We have a lot of OECD countries here, and then of course they have more sophisticated, more efficient facilities, and then the digital library, not only the facilities but also the manpower, human power resources, and experts in the sense of the efficient and effective supplier to the users. User friendliness will be the big issue, and also at the same time, capacity development of the staff members as well as the users will be the big challenge in this endeavor. I congratulate again the Institute the IIT and also the Ministry of Human Resource Development. And I thank Indrajit, my colleague, to come over here from Paris to share UNESCO's expertise and experiences. And most importantly, I welcome again the professional participants to share your views and expertise. I wish at the end of the workshop, we come up with some kind of the agreement on the establishment of the forum of the experts in this field to be maintained in coming days. Exchange, sharing the information is the one of the most important and basic the function of the digital library. In that sense, I again congratulate all the participants and I warmly welcome to this new building, new office, which was provided by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, and then enjoy time in this building as well as New Delhi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Now it's time for a UNESCO video.
It all began with a dream for harmony and peace. The year was 1945, and countries across the world got together to form an organization that would embody a genuine culture of peace and prevent the outbreak of another world war.
In consequence thereof, they do hereby create the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization.
UNESCO was founded on this very belief. Over the years, the organization has used the platforms of education, the sciences, culture, communication, and information to facilitate dialogue and collaboration among nations. This dream led to a long-standing friendship with India. Started way back in 1945 when India became one of the founding members of UNESCO, along with 36 other countries. Over the years, the history of UNESCO is replete with many voices from India who have ardently supported UNESCO's mandate and ideals. In 2015, the Prime Minister of India, Honorable Narendra Modi, visited UNESCO headquarters to mark UNESCO's 70th anniversary.
India values the work of UNESCO so deeply and cherishes our partnership so immensely.
UNESCO's first decentralized office in Asia was established in New Delhi in 1948. In 2001, the office was designated as the cluster office for 6 countries: Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, and Sri Lanka. In this new role, it is responsible for delivery of programs in all its fields of competence, namely education, natural sciences, social and human sciences, culture, communication, and information. UNESCO has a long history of cooperation with the Government of India's Ministry of Human Resource Development. It helped the government establish prime national educational institutions. It collaborates with the government to enable them to achieve international goals, and also partners with neighboring SAARC countries to institutionalize educational cooperation in the region. Natural sciences. The New Delhi office proactively undertakes capacity building, innovation, and networking programs to promote peace and sustainable development. The scientific institutions set up in partnership with UNESCO have today become landmarks in institutional building. The office also runs research programs that enhance water security and preserve biodiversity. Social and human sciences. The office addresses challenges faced by marginalized groups, especially migrants, and supports their all-round inclusion in the society through research, policy, and advocacy. A UNESCO online initiative on migration, the Gender Youth Migration Initiative, GYM, contains over 450 resources on migration with a primary focus on India and South Asia. Culture. UNESCO New Delhi aims at making diverse culture and heritage important parts of national development process by providing the government with their renewed relevance in the 21st century. While it helps in management of cultural heritage on one hand, it also facilitates formation of linkages between urban development, heritage preservation, and promotion of the rural India's creative talents in handicraft, music, and dance. Communication and information. UNESCO is the only UN agency mandated to promote the free flow of ideas by word or image. The office promotes freedom of expression, media development, and access to information and knowledge with a view to building peaceful and inclusive societies. It also works to safeguard journalistic freedom and safety, and promotes ICT for achieving universal access to information and knowledge. In 2010, UNESCO globally adopted an open access policy, making thousands of its publications available to the public. The New Delhi office stands committed to supporting the South Asia sub-region in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs. Partnerships are firmly embedded in UNESCO's way of working. These include the government, the civil society, NGOs, IGOs, the private sector, ASP.NET, and academia. In fact, UNESCO is the only UN agency to have a system of national commissions, which form a vital link between civil society and the organization. India has the distinction of hosting 3 specialized institutions and centers: the Mahatma Gandhi Institute of Education for Peace and Sustainable Development, Regional Center for Biotechnology, Center for World Natural Heritage Management and Training for the Asia and Pacific. As a symbol of the value that India attaches to its relationship with UNESCO, the Government of India has presented the organization with a new building, situated at the heart of the capital's prestigious area. Designed by famed architect Satish Gujral, the building is a beautiful medley of creative artworks and functionality.
Rural is the basic idea which I tried to relate it to UNESCO. I could not think of a single culture with it, but all cultures that UNESCO trying to promote.
Based on its vast experience and drawing on its strengths, the New Delhi office gratefully acknowledges the contributions of all its partners as it embarks on this journey of renewed hope and challenges.
Thank you for watching this amazing video of UNESCO. I would like to invite our guest of honor, Shri R. Subramaniam, IAS, Additional Secretary, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, to kindly deliver the address.
Education Secretary Sri Sharma, dignitaries on the dais, and friends. Friends, in 2010, when the mission document for the National Mission on using ICT resources for promoting education took shape, one of the natural ideas that came was to have a digital library. Considering that 90% of the students in the higher education stream do not have access to a proper library. It seemed most natural that the resources which are there should be collated, and then you should use the technology and take it forward so that everybody across the country, whether they are in Jharkhand or in Andamans, in Gujarat or in Kolkata or in Northeast, should have a proper access to reading resources. It seemed like a very simple idea, but it never took. It was probably waiting for two very able, charismatic leaders, academic leaders, to take charge. We have with us both of them, Professor Partha Chakrabarti, fondly known as PPC, and Partha Pratim Das, fondly known as PPD. So C and D has actually set right this entire problem 5 years after it was conceived. I really thank. I think it's amazing that the way they have organized this National Digital Library in a remote area. It is a remote area. Kharagpur is a remote area. When we wanted to lodge the National Digital Library in Kharagpur, everybody said, oh, that's completely wrong place to put this National Digital Library. It should be placed somewhere where it can be connected to the rest of the country, world, and all that. So both the Parthas have taken it as a challenge and said, we can do it here better than anywhere else. And today we have with us the fantastic National Digital Library, which has started as a pilot project. In fact, on paper it is still a pilot project, but it has reached a gigantic proportion. It has got 12 million digital resources and growing every hour, and it has got more than 24 lakh registered users who are logged in through the net, and they have brought in a mobile app with which people in the rural areas can also access it. So there is a quiet revolution has been done. I think I think maybe after many left revolutions, this is possibly the right revolution in the knowledge sphere that they have brought about, and we are all very thankful to them for executing this very smoothly, efficiently, and in the most efficient way possible. Friends, I also want to bring one very important fact to your notice. These 12 million digital resources have been put together at a very low cost, something like 20 paisa per digital resource. I was just counting. The total amount that they have spent is just 25 crores, $4 million. And with that, they have brought together 12 million digital resources at one place, which is distributed very efficiently, smoothly, without any hiccups. So, our Prime Minister keeps saying that the cost of, the ISRO reaching Mars is actually probably cheaper than the cost of taking a taxi from Indira Gandhi Airport to UNESCO building. So he says that the sort of efficiencies that have been brought about by the Indian science, this should go down as one of the great examples, and we are very proud of it. Friends, having said that, I think we have many challenges ahead of us. One challenge, of course, is to link global resources. They have done a lot of good work in connecting fair amount of like world e-books, library, all the medical resources they have linked. They have linked the audio books. So they have actually brought in fair amount of global network. But I think some of the global networks which should be a natural allies to National Digital Library, like UNESCO itself, I think that link has not yet happened. I think we have been talking for some time. I think it's time that we see some concrete action on bringing UNESCO's digital resources onto National Digital Library and possibly sharing some of what NDL has got with the UNESCO. I think that will really help us in taking this forward. And also because the globalization in terms of the knowledge is the key. So I think in future they are going to really look at linking many global resources, and so that the people in India can actually have fair amount of access to all the global knowledge resources. But I think more importantly, in this current scenario. The problem that would ail fair amount of fair section of the youth would be the ease with which they are able to find knowledge, whatever they want. If you, my friend Ashwini is sitting here from Google, yes. So he can, whatever anybody has any doubt, anything that he wants to know, they are able to just dish it out in fraction of a second. So the necessity to take a book, skim through it, read it, is actually going down. I think the number of people who are taking to serious reading is actually growing down, and that's a matter of grave concern. So what we were thinking that the National Digital Library should not only help in bringing knowledge resources, but should promote this concept of reading and enjoying the books. Because going through the book and then just getting into the mind of the person who has written the book and then just traveling through his universe is a great experience itself, which I think most of the youth here are actually missing out because of the ease with which the knowledge is getting dished out. So therefore, I think the challenges before NDL are very many. They have to grow, and they have to really grow in a manner that it would bring in a knowledge and a learning society. So I think we are this team, Professor Partha and his team of NDL are actually capable of doing that. They are set to do that, as he has rightly pointed out. The committee headed by the secretary has just cleared the National Digital Library's second phase of project. So there will be resources available. There is a lot of interest. There is a lot of commitment, and there is a very large world for them to win. I wish them all the very best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to request our Honorable Chief Guest, Shri Keval Kumar Sharma, Secretary, Department of Higher Education, Ministry of Human Resource Development, Government of India, to kindly release the NDLI Today newsletter. Thank you. Now I would request you, sir, to kindly deliver inaugural address.
Mr. Ayogi, the Regional Chief of UNESCO in New Delhi, Professor Partha Chakravarti, the Director of Indian Institute of Kharagpur, Professor Partha Das, Ms. Cousins, Director Indraji Banerjee from the UNESCO, my colleague Mr. Subramaniam, distinguished participants from different countries and from India, ladies and gentlemen. A very good afternoon to all of you. I would like to begin by actually congratulating the Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, for realizing the National Digital Library project. There's a lot of hard work that has gone, would have gone. In fact, some of us may not have imagined that what work has gone, how many man hours have been spent, and what challenges have been there. We have heard good words. So Professor Partha Chakravarti and Professor Partha Das, both of you who led these efforts, and I'm sure there are other people who have worked and they all deserve equal congratulations, but thank you very much for making it possible. As my colleague Mr. Subramaniam was just mentioning here, that when it comes to the governments at our level, we have, of course, to provide the vision and also to provide the resources. We have been noticing within our country in the last 1 year, and I have been associated with the Ministry of Human Resources Development now for roughly about 10 to 12 months, that there are schemes and initiatives for which there is huge amount of willingness on the part of government, by that I mean the political executive, to make the resources available. And once the resources are available, the challenge is on the apparatus which has to implement it, both we, the bureaucrats in the ministries, and our fellow leaders, the technocrats who have the skills to understand these complex programs and translate that into action. Government of India and the Ministry of Human Resource Development appreciating few years back that what the digital initiatives can bring into enlarging the accessibility of education in a large country like India, which most of you know its size and you know our challenges, you know how the country is spread. And as the digital technology has evolved, very appropriately and timely, I must say, that our academia and our institutions, and together with our predecessors who sat in these positions where we are sitting today, have captured on this opportunity with the government support to expand this digital initiative in a bigger way, in a very, very big way. So today when we are looking at our various digital programs, National Digital Library being one of them, in my view, these are all extremely important tools to make and expand education. And after you are expanding education, to make its access available to those areas where you don't have the top universities, where you don't have the top institutions, where you do not have the traditional libraries, we do not have the resources available. And as was just being mentioned, that we began with a pilot project, but the speed that the internet and the speed that the technology is affording, the number of books that have already come on the NDL platform with the help and support of other actors, both within the country and abroad, to assist in understanding how the digital libraries function and to make it possible. It's a wonderful news for us who feel very concerned about taking education and who are vested with the responsibility to make education available to our youth. India still has gross enrollment ratios in higher education. Libraries are meant for all education, but since we are in this ministry dealing with higher education and higher education being extremely important in making a big knowledge society, the technological age that it is. So within the Department of Higher Education, talking of figures in higher education, we are about 24.5% gross enrollment ratio as of this year. We have goals to take it to 30 by 2030, about 32 in 2030, and maybe even before that. When that large number of young people come into the educational pool, to make them available education spaces and education material, we need to think of different initiatives. So under the digital technology initiative, apart from the digital library, National Digital Library, we have also been investing quite a bit on MOOCs program. We have our name for it called SWAYAM. Those of you who are from abroad may not understand. It's an acronym for Study Webs of Active Learning for Young and Aspiring Minds. We have another initiative called Swayam Prabha, where we have about 32 direct-to-home television channels where this education content would be broadcast. The content that is being already developed on the MOOCs is also being transmitted through these direct-to-home channels, so that people in remote areas where internet connectivity is not that good can access it through a television which requires a small set-top box, etc., etc. I'm mentioning this because we are indeed making huge amount of, what shall I say, we have been thinking that what are the initiatives that can work and which, say in the short term, can make changes. Long term sometimes very long, but in the short term, whatever is feasible. So last 6-8 months, 1 year, our minister, Mr. Prakash Javadekar, who was very keen to be in this function, could not come. So under his leadership in the ministry, we all and the other think tanks of the country who think about education and are vested with this responsibility have been trying to do several things. So one is this one big vertical is of this digital. The Human Resources Minister particularly is very keen on this. So it's about I think 6 weeks back, we had all the 800 vice chancellors of the Indian universities assembled in New Delhi for 3 days. And why were they assembled? Because to keep pace with digital learning. And after, if you are an academic leader, it's not only enough to know that there exists a digital library, you've got to make sure that your professors are using it, that your students are using it, the access is there, if there are any issues, they need to be addressed. So this 3-day conference focused only on digital aspects of our work. And National Digital Library was one of the things that was discussed over there. The vice chancellors of the Indian universities were apprised about these facilities that are there. Certain commitment was given, if I might use the word, extract is not a good word, but Mr. Subramaniam, who's a colleague, works on digital initiatives in a big way. A 20-point program he made to be achieved by, I think, was it end of December, Subramaniam ji? And these 20 points were realizable over a short span of time, in the sense that if you have to access National Digital Library, if your students have to access, it's not so complicated. You just need to explain and have a little more, sort of publicity about it. People are using it. Then our MOOCs program. Education is also a lot of bit regulatory, in the sense that a university decides what it will teach, the academic autonomy. So when you're a university located in, let's say, in east of India or south of India, we have a University Grants Commission. So we made the regulation from the University Grants Commission that each university can access about 20% of its required coursework from the MOOCs program, developed by the MOOCs platform that this ministry coordinates, and where all our academic leaders, such as IIT Kharagpur and other education institutions, they all participate in doing these courses. So I was mentioning that the University Grants Commission issued this regulation to say that 20% courses can be taken. Now, individual vice chancellors of these universities who matter, they have to, within their university, in their academic councils, in their senates, to change the structure and say that, okay, these classes which are held in the traditional classroom work, instead of that, you would enable your students and your faculty to let students have the option of taking this MOOCs program. I'm just mentioning it, sort of general reflections in the midst of all of you, that when we are such a large country with, I don't know, 1/5 of world population, our efforts to take education only through the traditional mode of building universities, building institutions, has one, reach of access, but taking advantage of the digital, we can reach many, many people far quickly. And also, within those places which are cities, urban cities, where good facilities are available, there again, with the technical this thing, we can bring them what is the best from the world, bring it to their classrooms, bring it to their institutions, and that's how we are hoping to make a difference in terms of enhancing our educational facilities within the country. Since this is an international conference, I am personally very pleased about it, that it's also being held in the UNESCO office. International cooperations, to me, whenever I have sat, I feel that when you leave from them, you get a very positive feeling. People, it's a personal experience that you meet with, different country representatives in a more friendly manner. There's a spirit of cooperation. There's something that if I can do for my fellow being in another country, let me do it. You try to work out your own policies, even though the policy might be strict, but you go back with some kind of a message that, can I push a policy in my country which will allow me to share what I have developed with other, other universities in the other country. Then, of course, your country's policies come into the picture and things like that. Fortunately, in education, globally, the thinking is happening, and we are moving towards this open educational resources. The libraries are one example of that. We were, within our ministry, 6 months or 4 months back, we got the first open educational resources policy drafted. It's at draft stage. Since we're a big country, we have sent it to all our state governments to elicit their views, also exposing them the need for making education resources more open available. The Commonwealth of Learning, which is an international organization set up by the Commonwealth at Vancouver with the regional office in New Delhi, they helped us drafting this as to what kind of policy we could be having in India. So in the next few months, we hope to, with the inputs coming to us from the state governments and vice chancellors, etc., of different universities, we will be finalizing that policy. So I'm just giving you a glimpse of some of the things which are linked to, on the one side, the digital, and the other side to open resources, because the combination of the digital world and educational resources being available in an open manner, I think it can benefit human beings, humanity, different countries, students in a great way. And the efforts that an international workshop, which is bringing to this, I mean the contribution that an international workshop is bringing, I was in fact very pleasantly surprised, Mr. Partha and other colleagues who have been working on this. I didn't know, for example, 15 days ago that a conference like this was happening. Only when the conference was all set and Mr. Partha took initiative to invite me, and our colleagues must have been working, I think, on this. So I have been talking to Mr. Partha on the National Digital Library from time to time. I get some feedback when I travel. I ask the question to professors and all in the universities how it's being used. Are there some feedback? Sometimes the feedback is critical, but to improve a system and to design it better, the critical feedback is more helpful than just the kudos and the compliments. So one of the professors of Punjab University who quite a bit uses this resource, his suggestion was there. I'm just mentioning it here today because your workshop is also going to discuss in the next 2 days as to how to make it better. So his feedback was that a lot of resources coming into the National Digital Library, but cataloging hasn't happened in a way that you can easily access. Then when I put it to the director, he mentioned that there is some amount of cataloging, but I'm saying such type of feedback, and that's where the role of international community. I'm very glad to see here the European Union, the OECD, and various other countries I'm not naming, and the UNESCO itself. So in the world, I'm sure in the library movement, the digital library movement, the technology and the technique is evolving and has evolved. So what it has evolved, a part of that is already implemented here. Maybe we are at par, but wherever we are behind, in this conference, we will come to know what our challenges are. The new taskings will be identified, and I'm sure with our in front of you, it's not not appropriate to praise our own institutions, but as the Secretary of the Department, we are extremely proud of our Indian Institutes of Technology because you entrust them. Libraries are not their core function, because the digital library being linked to computer learning, machine learning, etc., they have delivered it in 2 years. So we need to, as I said, already appreciate them and thank them, which we did in the beginning. But once again, I'm mentioning that of those possibilities. So the things on the National Digital Library to make it more such a functional and effective and more accessible. On that, the new learnings will be. I thank you in advance for the contributions that our national friends and the international friends will bring to this workshop. We will surely, through our institute, take it forward and make our National Digital Library as more friendly to use and as more easy to access in the next 1 or 2 years. So thank you for that as well. And having said that, yeah, we should always, I think, remember that the students and all the last user, what her problems are, which I already reflected from the experience of one professor, but that's not enough to quote. It may be just outstanding work already happening on the National Digital Library. Our access is very easy. Earlier, I was told that we had some controls 6-8 months back. When we felt that the users are still less, then it has been made quite open, and more subscribers are coming to the platform. So that's what is happening. Before I conclude, I just want to share with you that we are engaged in India with doing various new things. As Mr. Subramanian mentions, we used to do these 5-year plans. Like, each ministry does a 5-year plan to see what it will do in the next 5 years, and then you require funds. So we used to have a planning commission. We used to go there and ask for funds. At present, the new government has stopped this 5-year planning, and we are working differently. So each ministry's programs, they came up before a committee with the finance ministry. Mr. Subramaniam already referred to it, but I'm just sort of repeating it, that when we were discussing our digital technology proposals, within the ministry itself, we did not put less funds. Whatever we wanted, we put it there. It went to the finance ministry and the funds got approved. So digital seems to be the faith of everybody in the digital is that provide funds, because if this much funds can make impact on a large country like India, let's do that. So both at our, the civil service level and at the political level, funding is available. People are now aware about it within the country who will be making investment decisions related to those funds, and we will be. So last of the things that I want to mention is that to improve our higher education system, we have these institutes like the IITs and the IIMs, which some of you and many of you might have heard. We are also working on how can we make our universities, we have about over 800 of them, more dynamic, more engaged with education in a way that their excellence and their rankings are going up. So a recent initiative of ours says that universities, sometimes we get this feedback that too much regulation happens from the part of those who regulate the universities. So in India, we have a Universities Grants Commission. Sometimes government has also certain restrictions on the universities, how they will function. For example, how much they can recruit from abroad, can they have foreign students or they can't have foreign students, etc., etc. So we did an exercise in the last 6 months, and we decided that the universities which are already performing very well, and we have our national accreditation and assessment system, which gives grades to the universities. So we call it NAC grading. So a grading of 3.5 and above is considered very high. So we have taken policy decisions that universities with 3.5 would be graded are put into category 1, and they are being given autonomy that the following things they can do on their own. They can decide new programs, they can change the curriculum, they can engage certain number of faculty from abroad, they can have students from abroad, giving them freedom to fix fees. So this is category 1. Category 2 is those who have got the ranking or the grades from 3 to 3.5. So this regulation the University Grants Commission has passed, it's sent it to the government, it's awaiting the minister's approval, which should happen. And once again, as we try to push this change with the universities, all type of initiatives, and once again, since this conference focused on digital library, and I sort of made my remarks in the digital context, the digital will have a lot of role to play in these changes, and therefore this conference is not only useful from the National Digital Library perspective, but the library and the books and the availability of educational materials to contribute to this expanding education and the engagement of the government with all those who are actually responsible for providing education. It will be very, very helpful. So I'm really absolutely delighted to be here with you this afternoon. Thank you for coming here. Enjoy your stay also, and we look forward to your deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your inspiring speech and sharing words of wisdom with us. For memento presentation, I would like to call Professor Partha Pratim Chakraborty, Principal Investigator, NDL and Director, IIT Kharagpur, and Professor Partha Pratim Das, General Co-Chair and Joint Principal Investigator, NDL. To our Chief Guest, Shri Keval Kumar Sharma ji. To Indrajit Banerjee. Thank you, sir. Lastly, I would like to request Professor Partha Pratim Das, General Co-Chair and Joint Principal Investigator, NDL, to kindly propose vote of thanks.
It is my great privilege to propose a vote of thanks. First to Sri Prakash Javadekar ji, Honorable HRM, who unfortunately could not be personally present here, but have been supporting us, guiding us, helping us all through the journey that we have had so far. I would like to thank Sri Keval Kumar Sharma, our Secretary, for his vision on the digital initiative as he has shared, and for all the support that we have been receiving from them. Thanks to Mr. R. Subramaniam, our Additional Secretary. Since the time I have got associated with NDL, he has always guided us as an elder brother, telling us how to go forward and helping us when we are in trouble. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. We are really honored to have Dr. Indrajit Banerjee, Director, UNESCO. It is great to know that he is flew from Paris just for this occasion, and we are really honored, sir. I would like to thank Mr. Shigeru Awagi, the Director of this regional office, who has provided with all the support that we needed for this conference, and I'm sure will continue to help us through different wings of UNESCO in our endeavor. Ms. Jill Cousins, we have been interacting since the beginning of this year. Thank you very much, ma'am. Without your help, we would not have been able to connect to so many international experts and really make this program work. You really made this possible. Thank you, ma'am. My director, Professor Partha Pratim Chakraborty, thank you for the vision and the journey together since 1981, right? We have been working together since 1981. Thank you, Mr. Gurinder Malik ji, Parameshwaran ji, Dr. N. Shavaran Kumar, different officials from MHRD who have helped us all through the journey so far. Thank you all the patrons, the speakers, the panelists, many of whom have traveled long distances to be here to help this workshop. Thank you, the participants and the committee members, and certainly the co-organizer, UNESCO's all staff, Mr. Anirban Sharma and Mr. Al Amin Yusuf, in particular, Oshita, in particular, who have been helping us, and all my colleagues in NDL, and my partners, our partners in TERI, Dr. Ganguly, Dr. Bhattacharya, Sonali, all of those who have helped organize this, Mr. Jose, and partners in JNU, InflibNet, IGNOU, and IIT Delhi. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all the dignitaries for their valuable words. This is the end of the inaugural session. Now I would like to request you all to kindly join us for tea outside the auditorium. Kindly reassemble at 4:35 p.m.